Chapters 7, 8, and 9 of Shri Krishna, the Lord of Love, by Baba Premananda Bharati. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 7. And the child that was God as Krishna was known, and men drew love from the name, for the name the potency of love contained, even as the seed the tree doth hold, or the bud the fruit of the tree enfolds. And all who spoke the name of Krishna felt the heart beat quick and high, and all who looked upon his face felt at once that love was nigh. And it came about that all the people who lived in the kingdom where the child Krishna was reared as the son of the king of Braya, thronged daily to get but a glimpse of the child, who, though helpless like other babes, did seem yet held the power to draw all men unto him, even by the light of love that made him all beauty. As he sat on the arms of the queen, his foster mother bedecked with the ornaments and finery which the king delighted to bedeck him withal, lo, the light that radiated from his flesh did put the glowing jewels to shame, for love is the essence of beauty and light, and the child was the embodiment of love itself. So the light that flashed from the jewels was but as the light of glow worms that disappeareth when the radiance of the moon is about them. In despair the king sent messages to all the then known world to procure such jewels as might enhance the loveliness of his child, but ever when on his body they rested, dull they seemed on the glow of his flesh. But oft the child would reach his baby hands for the flowers that the populace brought in great profusion to lay at the feet of the child that was love, and as he held them close to his baby mouth, behold, their petals quivered and throbbed with love life, and deeper the color dyed their softness, and brighter the gold of their hearts did flame at the touch of the hand and the breath of the child that knew naught but love. And in the days when love as a child did dwell on earth, a great force of spirituality through all the land went forth, and the heart of all the world went up in praise for the mercies linked with ecstasy that enriched the cup of all life. Gleams of kindness and deeds of generosity and miracles of patience and justice and love, unheard of before, now naturally burst from the heart of man, as water bursts forth from a spring neath the rock. And the fields that before were dried and burned by the sun's rays, even as stubble, gave forth rich harvests, and the rivers and seas that were lost to man's eyes again in beauty before them rested. And the child that was the stalk and stem of love in beauty did grow, shedding his gracious smile on all the world. And Kamsa the king now heard of the marvelous child, whose smile brought a smile on all the world. Chapter 8. Then Kamsa, the brother of Devaki, besought the demoness Putana, mother of evil, to give each child in arms the milk of her breast, that should fill them with death at the sucking. And forth she did go, and prayed to be taken into the palace of the king, to behold the young child whose face gave blessing to all who on it looked. On her coming, the child stretched forth its arms to be taken to her breast, but when her breast between his lips he took, she bent her face to look at the babe, and fear made her pale and faint, for in the beauty of his eye the wisdom of all the world she beheld. and releasing the master she held at her breast, she pleaded and prayed that he cease his sucking, but harder he drew, and firmer his grip was, till, exhausted and lifeless, she fell on the ground, while with a smile the babe played with the breast, arid crept on the body that lay in death. And when they came from far and wide to look at her who brought destruction and death to children, they beheld her swelled and stretched to immensity. For smiling evil seemeth not big, but robbed of the smile that hideth its leer, and huge and misshapen it doth become. So with Putana it was, for she went to mother and suckle the young children, and thus bring death to the child of love. Clothed in sweet motherhood and kindness of purpose, all hearts were open to welcome her freely, yet evil she brought wherever she walked. But he who was all love at once sighted her hatred for love by that which in her all unlike himself was, and straightway in her poverty of love and nakedness of heart she stood revealed in his eyes. And all saw her thus hideous and unsightly, and marveled at the blindness of their eyes. But mark now the kindness and power of love, by the touch of his lips upon her breast, she who never knew love by contact with him became sanctified, and the effort Putana put forth to bring death to Krishna under cover of love did make her for the moment a mother in truth, and for that moment of concentrated love in him the honor of divine motherhood on her was bestowed in that realm where hate is unknown, and all the world marveled when dead she lay at the aroma that rose from her huge body. But the child only smiled as he played on her breast. Verily, the aroma of great sweetness reached to all the skies, for love is ever the master of hate, and love in its strength doth conquer all hate, and hate is purified by the breath of love, and sanctified it is by its hand. Chapter 9. A year has passed since the coming of Krishna, a year of peace and plenty to all, and the earth was relieved of pressure, and the minds of men were illumined by the light that shone in their midst, and the hearts that were cramped and narrow with pain grew big into bursting with the love that flowed from the child that was God. And Nanda prepared a great feast for the naming of him and the brother, Devaki's seventh child, who at birth premature had been dispatched to the land where Krishna now was. And the feast was attended by many guests who rejoiced on beholding the wondrous child who on that day a year had brought joy by his coming. And the priest was called, and the seer, and he who read the stars and read the Vedas alike. And when the stars he contemplated, he saw the wonder of his birth, and prostrating at the feet of him, spoke to them who gathered to hear. The oppressed he shall succor, the enslaved he shall free, and those that in danger are he will protect, and bring all blessings to the land where now he doth live. What and who he is you know not, but crowned with living stars of love, and adorned with the rainbow of promise on his breast, this child shall bring glory and bliss wherever he breathes. Oh, blessed was the day I looked in his eyes, and touched my hand low his holy feet, for in him the virtues and powers and might of love do dwell, that never before men with eyes have seen. But the little child smiled, then stretched forth its arms, and puckered its lips for the mother's sweet milk. The mother in pride placed it at the side of the cart that held brass vessels and articles of food, and turned to receive the congratulations of her guests, when lo, the child with its baby foot upturned the cart, and the cart and the vessels in pieces lay on the ground. And more they marveled at the child whose baby strength upturned the cart. Nor was this the only miracle of his babyhood, for one day the mother sat with the child in her lap, when lo and behold, so heavy he became that she felt as if the world were resting on her knees. The strength of her knees gave way, and the child sank to the ground, when a whirlwind came in the shape of a dust storm, and raised the child to heights unseemable, but soon again lightly on his feet he descended at the side of his mother. Wildly she clasped him in her arms and kissed him again, but he opened his baby mouth to her eyes, and lo, the universe she saw within. And in that moment unto her it was revealed that he whom she called her son was God, the seed and soul of the universe, the one who all things knew, yet who was unknowable to all. She also knew that the shadow he cast by his great universal will was Maya, and the offsprings or attributes of that Maya as demons were known. And she knew that a demon it was, urged on by Kamsa, that came in the shape of a whirlwind to carry her child away, and that he who was all love was mightier by far than the offspring of shadow could be. And thus the power of darkness again by love was overthrown. All this she saw in the space of a moment, and salutation she made to her Lord. But the child only smiled, and the mother again saw but her child, for how could the woman who suckled the babe dwell long on her child and know him as her Lord? End of chapter 9.